Welcome, everyone, to Engaged Citizens. I am Sharrie Ryan, your host. I am very thrilled to have our guest today. This is the candidate for St. Helens Mayor, Stephen Topaz. Stephen, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to chat with you with the candidates for St. Helens Mayor. And so, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, your family, how long you've lived in Columbia County and such?
Well, we'll start backwards. I've lived here since 2000.
Okay.
Uh, Most everybody around here says I've been born and raised here. Well, I've been born and raised in Mystic, Connecticut, lived in Ohio, went to school in Indiana, worked in Ohio and Cleveland, worked in Maryland at Johns Hopkins, worked in New Jersey for both a large 500 company and a university, worked in Massachusetts, worked in Utah, and now I'm here. So I
Wow.
have a number of places to be in a fairly large horizon of experiences of how things go.
Yeah. So since 2000, so 22 years you've been in our community. You've got you've lived a lot of places. Wow. So, and do you have family here then? Are you
My
married?
son and daughter live out here. That's kind of why I moved out here.
Okay. Yeah, to be with family. I totally get that. So, Stephen, what made you run for mayor? Like, why are you running to be the mayor of St. Helens?
We have a number of problems in St. Helens that doing it the same old way isn't going to solve the problems. And with the experience I've had from a number of venues, I've got
Mhm.
some answers that I've seen work other places that would definitely improve St. Helens.
Yeah, you want to bring some fresh blood in there to the mix, huh?
That's correct.
That is great. I love that. And we're talking about also, St. Helens is a weak mayor setting, and when some of my other interviews, we've talked about what
That's
that
not
means.
quite correct.
Okay, tell
If
us
you
about it.
follow the rules, the mayor and the council could be a strong position. Your observation of our present operation is correct. It is a weak position, but that's just the way it is, not what is on paper.
Okay. And meaning like the weak, okay, and not being like weak, like the person or the involvement is that they are the way that they rule, the way that their role is made, like with the council, with the city council. And so there's different, and it's usually like larger cities, correct, that have that strong mayor presence where they can veto things, they can make decisions without the council. And so that council involvement of being just basically like the facilitator and the running of that city council is what the weak and strong is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's true. That's the broad picture. But when you
Okay.
start looking at some of the details that show up in our charter, it
Yeah.
becomes what the personality can do, uh, and that becomes, we'll say, the effective weakness.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for that, perspective. I, what qualifications you're talking about, a lot of places that you've lived and worked. What kind of qualifications are you bringing to the table, if you were elected as mayor? What qualifications do you have?
Okay, let's start off with my university. I'm a
Okay.
mechanical engineer from Purdue University. I was
Okay.
licensed in the state of Maryland, so I was a professional engineer. My main business has been pumping blood. I've been in medical schools on faculty at the Cleveland Clinic, at Johns Hopkins. We brought the medical school of 2 years at Rutgers to a 4 year medical school. I've worked for 500 companies, bringing in major project lines and developing new products, mainly to keep people alive. I've been in the
Okay.
heavy life business, um, similar in Massachusetts and in Utah, again, working for a Fortune 500 company. I was involved with Lotus Project, which is a how to get homeless off the streets and put them back into a useful place in the world.
Oh, wow. That sounds fascinating.
Well, that's the experience that I've had. way beyond St. Helens.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have quite the resume, sir. And the Lotus program is what sticks out to me a lot because I'll kind of switch up our questions, but you know, would you see that kind of program being beneficial in the St. Helens in the city of St. Helens with
It's
the homeless
absolutely
that come?
needed. It's
Yeah,
absolutely needed. And it's a
yeah.
process. A
Mhm,
number of things about the Lotus Project were absolutely facing reality. And one of the realities is that people who are on drugs or alcoholics, you can't help. They have to get themselves out of their own hole. And until they do, you really can't help them. The
yeah,
other reality is the people who are mentally ill or mentally incompetent need someone to take care of them. No, they cannot take care of themselves, even in the smallest thing. That's a reality that you have to face and not make believe. Now, there
hmm,
is a group of people that comes on that have hard times, and with help, they'll get up and get out.
hmm.
And recently, we've come up with another group that just happy where they're at. They don't care where they're going, just whatever it is what okay.
Yeah,
So training gets the people who can be helped out. Training
hmm,
means we have to have education so they get new jobs because they have the new skills. We need jobs for these people to go into. That's just the way it is. It's a
yeah,
reality business. It's not I wish we could or maybe so. It's a hard reality and you've got to
yeah,
face it.
yeah. This is what it is. I love that stance. The reality being like, okay, this is what is going on. What do we do about it? Asking that person, what do you want to do about it? I know that we have, um, situations coming in where people are being bussed in from Portland to dropped off at our bus stops in Scappoose and St. Helens and Clatskanie and such. Do you have any ideas for those people?
One of the observations of reality is Portland generated a problem that they can't handle, and they're making believe they're handling it by passing it on to everybody else.
Hmm.
I was in Scotland a couple of years ago, and there's almost no homeless on the streets. If
Wow.
you are homeless and are on the streets, you need to have a license from the police department so they know where you're at. If we had a system like that, you get dropped off at the bus stop. You're not visiting somebody, you have to sign up with the police department that you're here so we know who you are. That would be
Wow.
my first step.
Okay. Wow, that is, see, I love it that you're bringing like different different ideas from different places. That is what, collaborating with people and finding new ideas and dealing with these issues that are facing our community, right? That's fabulous. What are your top three things that you would want to address if you were to come, if you were to be voted in as mayor? What are the top three or two or three things that you see where you're like, this is what I would want to address? Right away, I'd like to help with this process.
Well, it comes up jobs, jobs, and jobs. Now,
Okay.
obviously, you need trained workers for a job,
Yeah,
which means
yeah.
you need vocational programs, both apprenticeships and at the high school level. And
Mhm.
one of the things that's done other places, the unions and the industry have training programs for their specific areas. We
Yeah.
need that. Next thing
Mhm.
is you need a place to work. There have to be companies here. That means the city has to bring companies in by making it a good place to be.
Mhm.
Extra permits, extra regulations are a good way not to be here.
Mhm.
And the next thing is we have to appreciate our workers. We do not appreciate the skill level that's in this area. This
Mhm.
is, of all the places I've been in the US, this is, I would say, the worst area for appreciating a skilled labor that I've ever seen.
Wow. Wow, speaks volumes. Can you give me an example of that?
Okay,
Yeah.
uh, as you know, we have woods around here, and we have people who cut trees down called loggers. It's
Yes.
a dirty, mean, dangerous job. The
Yeah.
skill level is very high,
Yeah.
but to a great extent, the logging industry is looked down on. And yes, that's been our moneymaker since the state got started.
Heck
But we
yeah.
do not appreciate our loggers.
Yeah.
Well, it was just getting out there in some dirty old trees. Well, if you take a look at the people that have to keep the hydraulics of some of that machinery going, we're talking high-tech people, but we
Yeah.
don't give them appreciations of their skill level, nor do
Mm,
we have the training programs for them.
yeah.
It's little things like that that we miss.
Yeah.
They're there that we don't look at them and don't appreciate them.
Yeah. As a mayor, how would you bring that appreciation to these kind of workers?
One is have meetings where people like that can be. Having meetings in the middle of the day
Mm,
keeps people who are working like that out of the loop. They're
yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
We basically have cut them off and said, you're not valuable enough to be part of our decision making. So we have
Yeah.
to change some of that.
I agree. The time of the meetings where these big decisions are being made are usually in the middle of the day when we're all at work, you know, when loggers are logging, timber, right?
Well, let's go back to working in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
What that generally does uh, allows people who are heads of non-production to be at the meeting. So we've
Mm,
already segmented a part of the population, a very small part of the population that's making the decisions and that can be heard. So knowingly or unknowingly, we've basically removed a great part of the population from being part of the community. It's
yeah.
as simple
Yeah.
as that.
Yeah. Great, great points, Stephen. I fully agree. We're kind of proud of our small community. I know it's not tiny, but it's small. What do you think about growing our community, but keeping it that rural feeling also? There's some people that
Well,
want to come in and
this
make
community has
big
never been
business.
a rural community. I know we
Okay.
like to say that, and that's the PR, but this community was built by some big mills down on the river. Even
Yeah, yeah,
before the town got here, heavy
yeah,
industry. In the 60s, we had the highest per capita income because we had the timber mills and the paper mills.
yeah.
Before that, we had canneries and fisheries. Those are industrial operations. They
Yeah.
had high paid workers, they had skilled workers, they had a lot of workers. To make
Hmm.
believe that was rural is a farce. Or we
Okay.
raised raspberries and strawberries, a pittance compared to what 1,000 or 10,000 board feet of wood is worth. I mean,
Yeah.
it's nice to say that, but St. Helens was never a rural community. It was always an
Yeah.
industrial community that had an
Hmm.
incredibly good location on the river.
Yeah.
And we're making believe that we're a bunch of little farmers with little gardens, and we never were.
Love your perspective here, Stephen. You're really just jogging my brain right here and just, changing, flipping the scripts. I love it. So thank you for bringing that kind of stuff to the table. And um, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about this stuff. Do you have anything else that you'd want to add to our
Yeah.
interview here?
Again, where you put value. We
Yeah.
have a police department. St. Helens
Yeah.
is running 24 hours. They would like two more people. I think they need four or six. And
Yeah.
the argument is, well, we have so much money. This is the all we can afford.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at how much the police cost, you've got to put the boundary in another place. If I have a
Hmm.
bunch of people cutting holes in tires and ripping up sheds
Hmm.
because I don't have police out there, doesn't change the cost of the police department, but it does to the community. Those
Yeah.
people who lost tires and sheds, their insurance goes up, their neighbor's insurance goes up. So
Yeah.
this amount of money for the police department, I think you have to look a little bit beyond, we'll say, our bureaucratic limits of what we're calling cost of our crime prevention and our police department.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
don't. We look
Yeah.
only, oh, their building's so big. In fact, our building is absolutely a disgrace.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a disgrace for 20 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we, you know, the world has changed rather drastically, and we
Hmm.
don't even have a good shed to allow our particular police to be in. And hopefully, we'll
Yeah.
get the news station up and going.
Hmm.
But the arguments against the police station, some are justified. I think in many cases they've got too many bells and whistles. But the fact that the city has put it off for so many years, again, not appreciating the craftsmanship. Being a policeman isn't a simple job, get a stick and beat on people
Yeah.
anymore. We
No,
want
no,
them to
no.
be a psychiatrist or part of our mental health business now, which is
Right?
beyond belief.
Yeah. Yeah. Fully agree. Fully agree, sir. I just really appreciate the perspectives that you've brought to the table here just now in this time. I feel like I've learned a lot of stuff about our community with you. So I really appreciate that. I'm going to be posting the email address of where people can reach you, where they can talk to you. Um, get questions answered and connect with you. And I just wish you the best in the race for the mayoral candidacy for St. Helens. And Stephen, thank you so much for meeting with me today, and I appreciate it.
One of the things I want to bring up now in our worker force, we have a tendency to look at St. Helens as a male worker force, which is
Yeah,
a long way from the truth. I was talking to a boiler operator the other day,
yeah.
and a boiler operator, has to be licensed and has a whole bunch of things. Except this boiler operator who used to work at the mill was a girl.
Okay.
Nobody ever imagines that we have that much brain power in our female segment of our community.
Hmm.
Again, it's one of those perceptions that is totally wrong.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
again, to a great extent, we need a few more female voices and people in places of power in this town.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I totally agree. And thank you so much for that perspective. And Stephen, I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today. So you take care and good luck, okay?
We're working at it.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye.